The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. I am excited about my guest tonight, and I am going to pull her up. The infamous, the iconic, the awesomeness of Mrs. Nadine McIlwain Massey. Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Vera, and I feel just as excited as you do about this opportunity.
Yes, and we go way back. As a matter of fact, I did make note that you were my social studies teacher. You must have been straight out of college.
Close to it.
Yes, and you were an excellent teacher.
Well, thank you.
And then we continued to do some other things in the community together, which was just awesome. And we're going to talk about some of those things. But before I start talking about all that, let me tell the audience a little bit about Nadine McIlwain Massey. She is a former Ohio public school educator who has received numerous awards for excellence in the classroom, which I can attest to, including the prestigious National Educator Award from the Milken Family Foundation. Locally, she was praised for conceiving and leading the 100 in 100 campaign to restore the Greater Stark County Urban League, which is where I'm working right now, which was slated for closure. Her leadership efforts raised, hear this, $103,000, which exceeded the goal of $100,000 in 100 days, keeping the agency open and active. So her educational accomplishments recognized locally, statewide, and nationally, led the Canton City Board of Education, check this out, to rename the district administration building as the Canton City Schools District Nadine McIlwain Administrative Center in her honor. And she is an author of several books. And one of the books that we're going to be talking about tonight is her most recent book, which is Rolling Stones. And it is, even though she's written other books, more historic types of books, this is her first novel. And so we're excited. And we also have comments from people that have previewed and read it. And we've got comments coming in. Okay, Bobby Brooks. Go, Granny. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And please share this with your friends and tell them your grandmother is on the Vera Thomas Show. Okay. So share this with them. Thank you. She's so pretty. How old is she?
Brooklyn is 28 years old now.
Is she 28?
28. I can't believe it myself.
Oh my God.
Not a baby girl.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That is awesome. Well, you are beautiful. Let me tell you that, Brooklyn. All right. Now back to you. What I want to do, I'm going to give you the floor. And I just want you to share with our audience, as you see fit, more about you and what you are doing what you want to do, what your purpose, passions, and visions are. And I know you've been an advocate. We're going to talk about that advocacy that you've done, including the Urban League. We got another comment coming in. She says, love. Yes, thank you. Share this. Get some other people on here. Thank you. Okay. So let me give you the floor and let you share with our audience. And this is evergreen, so it's going to be on YouTube forever. So I know it will be seen. So let me give you the floor and let you just share as much as you are led to share. And then we're going to come back and talk about you and what's going on.
Well, Vera, I can't thank you enough for inviting me to be on your show. As you know, I really admire you and where you've come from the days back at Timken Senior High School when you were in my class. I could tell you were going to be going far because of your activities then. So I thank you very much for inviting me. I'm here because I am excited about what I'm calling my debut novel. This is the first novel I've ever written, although I've written other books. This is the first novel. And rather than really spending the time talking about my goals and wishes, I'd like to tell you how this novel came about. First of all, you might remember, yes, the title is Rolling Stone, but you might remember when PBS decided that they were going to survey America, the United States, and ask what were the favorite books of various Americans, actually all Americans, anybody who wanted to could participate. Well, I, of course, participated and I followed the books that were being recommended. And one of the books was entitled Rebecca. I don't remember the author, but I remember who recommended it. And it was the astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said his favorite book was for Rebecca. And I thought, I've never read that, so let me read it. And I did read it. The thing that I found most interesting about the book was that throughout the entire novel, Rebecca was dead. I've got this right. Either she was or the lady that preceded her. But it was that this person was dead throughout the entire novel. And I thought, that's strange. You can have a protagonist or a main character who's not alive. And so that partly drives my book in Rolling Stone, because the central character, who is C.J. Williams, is not alive. His death occurs in the first page of the book, but he's active and involved in the book throughout the entire novel. So that was one thing that inspired me. The other thing is, my love for teaching.
Yes.
I used to teach in the migrant program for migrant students who came from Florida and South Carolina to the fields in Hartville. And in Hartville, you may or may not know this, but they had to use manual labor because the fields were muck and the heavy machines could not, operate on that muck. So they brought in that labor. And one family that I remember in particular, but I won't say a name, would stop. It was grandparents, a grandfather and a grandmother. They would stop along the migrant stream. And in the process of stopping, they would pick up their grandchildren. And that would mean that there's a grandchild this place, and that place. They even had one grandchild in the city of Canton. This was by their son, who also was deceased when I met the family. But the kids would all come to Hartville. They'd all stay together, no matter where they were from. And they acted like such a family that lived together on a daily basis. They, brother, sister, grandparents from all the kids. And they got along so well. And I mean, I was just pretty amazed by that because I'd never, seen that kind of arrangement before. So the family in Rolling Stone is similar to that, even though C.J. Williams has 6 children by 6 different women. The children come together and they do establish a family. And like I said, with the migrant students, I was impressed by that. So that was the impetus for writing this book and writing it the way I wrote it.
That's amazing. And what I want to do, I want to take a few minutes, and throughout this show, I'm going to be reading some of the comments that people have said about your book. So, one, Todd Hunter, he says, with Rolling Stone, Nadine McIlwain masterfully crafts an emotionally resonating, drama-filled narrative. It is a testament to the enduring bonds of family, the complexities of human nature, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. And in terms of pursuit of justice, you've been about that all your life.
Yes, I have. True.
Yes, you have, truly. And I remember when you and I served on that 7-person committee for town halls, remember?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And how we together, and you know what that was, I have to say, those 7 people, we came together. That was one of the most effective teams that I have ever been involved in. And it was beautiful because it represented not only African Americans, but the Jewish community, and all the community as a whole. And we were able to do some things. We had 4 town halls that we did to address justice, law enforcement, health and education, health, and race. Yeah, how could I forget that one? Okay. So anyway, I don't want to hold up and belabor, but I want you to kind of, Nadine, you have done so many things, and I'm going to put you back in here and let you talk some more, because I want to pull up the building that is named after you. And so I want you to just keep on talking, and I will pull it up.
Well, Vera, like I said, I agreed to come on the show because I really want to promote my book. I think it is pretty good. For a first-time debut novel, I like it. And I think people who read it would like it also. Mm-hmm. But as we talked about the many things that I've done, I didn't just sit down and decide that I would write a book. Being an educator, the first thing I did was I went to school. And when I say I went to school, I didn't do a traditional university or college or something like that. I signed up for a course that took place in Belize. And the reason I signed up is because Terry McMillan was one of the main speakers and presenters. And I loved her. Well, I loved her books. I didn't think she was real high as an author. I didn't put her up on my top list like with Nikki Giovanni or Maya Angelou or Toni Morrison. But I thought I liked her stories. I liked her stories, and I would read her books, all of them from front to back. And so she was going to be there, and I got a chance to meet her, and meet her up close and personal. Wow. We even jogged a little bit in the mornings. It was in Belize, and it was at a place called Blink and No Lodge. Blink and No Lodge was built by Francis Ford Coppola, and it was self-contained. Maybe a comparison is a plantation, because they had chickens in the yard, and in the evening we may be eating one of those chickens.
Wow.
He had a winery there, and today you can still buy Coppola wine. That's pretty well known, and it's $100 a bottle.
Wow.
But he had that. And so we spent a week there. It was not only with Terry McMillan, there were other authors there too, and potential authors. One of them became, I think, fairly famous, and that is a gentleman by the name of Torrey. I don't know if you've ever seen him or heard of him. Yes, well, Torrey was there as a young man. He might have been right out of college, maybe. But he was pretty fascinating to me and to everyone else who attended. So we were all together, and we were learning to write, and we shared, what we had written during the day, in the evening, and we'd critique each other. And I thought it was a really good learning school.
And when was this?
Oh my gosh, that was so long ago. It was, I don't think I was married at the time, not even to my second husband. So at that point, I did a lot of traveling. So Belize was a good thing for me. So I went there, and I swim. I like to swim. So I was swimming in the pools. You know, the mountains have pools of water. And I was swimming often by myself, afraid of whatever jaguar might come out of the woods, but I would do that. And so it was a really good time in my life for me to be into myself and finding out more about myself. But that wasn't the only school I went to. I'll say the best one was called the Detroit Black Writers Conference. It was a conference, it was in Detroit, and all kinds of authors were there. One that a lot of people know but won't admit it is Zane. She writes a lot of erotica, and it's Black erotica for that matter. I've never read any of her books, but she told us what she did. And she made us practice a scene. Practice writing it, a scene that included erotica. And I'll tell you, that was some lesson to learn because it was different for me.
Right. You had to step out of your comfort zone.
I sure did. I really did. But I did it because I wanted to write. And the gentleman that just died, who was gay, but he wrote a lot of books. He was there too, and I can't think of his name at the present, but he wrote a lot of books, and he really schooled us. The couple who actually started the Detroit Black Writers Conference and wrote a book for writers, they were there, and their names escape me at this time too. But it was a wonderful experience. Oh, and I met the editor, the publishing editor for T.D. Jakes and people of his ilk. And she told all of us, send your books in, and because you were at this conference, I will look at them and I will, give you extra consideration. So the first book I wrote, which was the From Ghetto to God about Randy Rucker, I did absolutely send it to her. And unfortunately, she said, we missed our window. That when he was much more popular, that's when that book should have been written and produced. But we did fairly well, I think, with the book, even though, like she might say, we were missed our window. Well, so that was another good thing.
Yes, and I'm sorry I don't have a copy of that book to share, but we have more. So anyway.
Well, that book is no longer in print. So you maybe you could find it somewhere, but we did it. The sales were fair. I mean, some of the later publishers I talked about said, you sold 1,500 books. I said, yes, we did. And they said, that's unheard of for, like a new author and someone who did miss the window. So I was proud of that.
Yes. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And now let's talk about, we are going to do a deep dive into your new book, but let's kind of talk about there's a couple other books that you have. One of which I am honored to say my mother is in it. And that is The African Americans of Canton, Ohio. And my mother was one of the first was the first Black to actually have a radio program in Canton, Ohio. And here's a picture of her. But I was honored that you put her in your book. And you want to talk about a little bit about that?
Certainly. That book was written, co-authored by Geraldine Ratcliffe. And the two of us spent a total of 5 years collaborating and finding information like your mother and getting pictures. We spent that time till we finally were able to produce the book. And the book, it includes as much as it leaves out. I say that to say there's so much more African American history in Canton, Ohio. For instance, you yourself are making, history and doing what you're doing here, and you could be included in the second edition of the book. But we were pleased and honored to write this book and to preserve that history in writing. So many communities around here, including where my husband, Bill Massey, is from, which is Waynesburg, Ohio, have tremendous histories of how Black folks came to those places, settled them, built families and homes and churches and schools even. And now there's no written record. And unfortunately, to me, that means that it can be forgotten. So Alliance, I think, needs to have their Black history written in a book just like this. And Maslin, definitely. These
Yes.
books are published by what's known as the History Press. And the History Press is presently looking for people willing to write books about Black history.
Really?
Yes, and um, some of them are like you don't have to write a whole history. You can pick one person and write their story if you can, research it.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. And I think my one person would be Esther Archer. I am so fascinated by her. She's just, to me, she's my Black history. When I got elected to Canton City Council, I contacted her, and she was fairly elderly at that point. And I asked her to come and be the person that held the Bible when I got sworn in, because she was the very first woman to ever be elected to a city council position in the state of Ohio.
Wow. Our history is important. And
Yes.
unfortunately, we're in a situation where they're banning our history. And with you being an educator and with them slicing the Department of Education in half, and I know that we didn't talk about you talking about this, but you being an educator, tell me what you're thinking and feeling about what's going on. And I know this is taking us away from talking about the book, but we're talking about current affairs that's impacting on our lives. So what insight can you give? And even encouragement, even because you know how people are feeling roundabout now,
Exactly. And, I've always been an advocate of teach your own. I mean, public schools are important, and there's a place for them. They support like people who would not be supported by the private schools in the country. So I'm a strong advocate of public education. But I also believe in educating your own. One of the things that I admire most about the Jewish population is that the kids have to go to Jewish school. They start young and they continue Jewish school until they, graduate. And so when we were part of Lila Green Alliance of Black School Educators, I think you might be familiar, and your
I am.
audience might be familiar. We established schools. In 1978, Kansas City school teachers went on strike, and they stayed on strike for, I think it was over a month and a half, in the coldest month of the year, which was January. I remember staying out front and picketing at Timken Senior High School and looking at that clock that was on the square, and it said -13. That's how cold it was that time. But it didn't daunt us. We felt we were mistreated as educators. We felt that we weren't respected by the administration because of the unwillingness to even negotiate. And so we went out in that kind of temperature. But I say that to say that's extremely important. And don't let anything I say that we shouldn't have public education. But at the same time, what we started was using the churches on Saturdays to teach our children, our meaning Black children, about their history and about themselves. You asked me to speak a little bit about how my childhood, I actually didn't go to Kansas City until I became in high school. I went to plain local schools. I graduated I went to Edgefield, and I went to Glen Oak, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I transferred to McKinley High School. And I loved my years at McKinley High School. But even though, and it was at McKinley High School, I had my first African-American teacher. At that time, plain local didn't have African-American anything. I mean,
Right.
nothing. But I had my first African-American teacher. His name was Ralph Armour, and he taught history, and I just loved him. I thought he did such a great job. But I think that's what I'm talking about. We have to teach our own. We need to have schools right now. And a gentleman from Canton, last names, we all call him Zutali, and a group that he's with, they started to do.
Yes, I'm involved in that.
Books.
Yeah,
See, I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
And breakfast and books. And I'm at the point where I'm retired from most things. Otherwise, I would jump in on it too, just like you said. You're involved in, I would be involved too.
Yes,
But I think, go ahead.
we meet once a month at several churches, and we provide breakfast. The children and then adults read books to the children. And because my platform is parents and children, I have a presentation that I do for the parents and the kids that talks about how words matter and what we say to each other and how we treat each other in our family, how it impacts. And so that's what I've been doing with that. And it's been, things are going well. And
I
I'm
know
sure,
it appears to be. Zutalia informs me and lets me know what's happening. I'm very pleased and proud that it's continuing with a lot of participation from families and from volunteers like yourself. So that's great.
yes, yes. And where education is concerned, can you envision that as a result of what the government wants to do regarding public education, that there will be those that will take the ball and begin to, I mean, it's almost like going back to the times when
Hmm.
schools were segregated, and
Hmm.
and we could be headed in that direction again. What do you think?
Well, I think we certainly could be headed in that direction. I think that's what the present administration wants. They want to segregate schools and segregate histories as though
Yes.
you could do that. But yes, that's what they want. And I was involved in education before there was a Department of Education. And I don't remember who was president at the time, but I remember the establishment of that department.
Wow.
But as you know, the Constitution of the United States says that the education of the people belongs to the states and not to the federal government. So I think that's the reason why the present administration is standing on that part of the Constitution, although there's other parts of the Constitution they don't accept.
Right.
At
It
least there's,
doesn't matter.
yes, that's right.
I can sell cars in front of the White House and
Right.
be
Or
president.
sell citizenship or
Yes.
sell citizenship to this country
$5
for $5
million.
million. I know. I could spend your show and the next 10 shows talking about this administration.
I know.
But I recently, after the election and after the cuts and after the President Musk started doing the things he was doing, I saw a Facebook post from a learned lady. I can't remember her name, but she said, "Now is not the time to bow out.
No,
Now
it's
is
not.
the time to bow in." And it kind of struck me because I really had bowed out. I mean, I live in Florida in the winter and we golf and we swim and we go to the beach and we have dances and we eat out. I mean, it's that kind of a lifestyle for
Right,
me right
right.
now. So to think about getting involved is a real stretch back for me. And I'm not ready to go there, but I heeded what she said. She said, now is the time to drop in and not drop out.
I mean, really, but also we have to be strategic in how we drop in, because right now there are rallies all over the country, but it's primarily white people that are very upset. If we go out there with them, the intent is for martial law. If we're out there with them, this is what I'm feeling. And so I think we need to focus more on boycotting, and letting our money speak for us rather than going out there, because I'm telling you, he wants martial law. He
Well,
wants,
Vera,
go
I do
ahead.
not disagree with you. I think you're right, but I do know factually that the majority of people in this country, as we presently stand, are white people. And
Absolutely.
and if we got whites who are willing to stand up to him and say, then I say join in with them because they're the majority in this country.
Right. But we need to
Mhm.
join them from an economic point of view,
That's true also.
because
Mhm.
my fear, knowing how the hatred and the bigotry exists for people of color, my fear is we go out there, and of course he's got his Jan 6 that he's pulled out of prison, and those people, they already infiltrated Black Lives Matter and caused all the havoc, but Black Lives Matter was charged with that, and it wasn't them at all. But anyway, that's a whole, you know
Yes,
what?
it is. But
I want you to come back and we just have a conversation about this. So
well, I'd like to do that, but I'll tell you, my grandson is a student at Ohio University. He's a junior, and Ohio University canceled their DEI program, and Ohio State is either canceled or in the process of canceling. And so my grandson, like his grandfather and his father and him, they're Omega men. So they're part of the Omega Psi fraternity, proudly part of it. And my grandson and I, he's in town right now. I'm in Canton right now, and he's in town.
Okay.
And we talk about, the fact that his picture's been in the paper because he's marching against Ohio University, the fact that he has strong opinions about this. So when you ask me to come back, I'd like to come back with him and perhaps my granddaughter so you can see the generational feelings about this. We agree a lot, but we don't agree on everything. I think that would be a wonderful show.
Yeah, that would be a one, because I do want to engage youth in this matter.
Right.
Because we've got to stand up, speak up, and wake up.
True.
We got to do it. All right, back to the book. And also, can you put in the private chat how people can get the book and how people can get in touch with you? And while you're doing that, I am going to read another testimonial. And this one, I think this was mine. Her educational accomplishments recognized locally, state. Oh no, that's your bio. Let me move on up. Okay. Gail Beck, she says, Nadine McIlwain, a keen observer of human nature, paints first novel, however, is a home run. First novel, however, is a home run. As they move through their complicated, interwoven lives, Gail Beck, retired editorial page editor for The Repository. And then Dr. Don Bartlett, he says, I have known this writer as a colleague and as a friend for over 4 decades. I have read Nadine McIlwain's other books with much enjoyment. Her first novel, however, is a home run, editorially speaking. Yes. And I read excerpts of it as you were pulling it together, but I need to get the book. Where do we get the book?
Well, I was just doing what you asked me to do, writing in the chat.
Okay.
You can get the book from Amazon. However, the release date has not been determined. Okay. I have been informed by the Amazon publishers. I did KDP as a self-published book. And I've been informed by them that within the next 2-3 weeks, month at the latest, the book should be released.
Oh, awesome. So you self-published?
Oh, yes, I did for the novel. I didn't for any of the other books that I did. They were all had publishers, but I self-published the novel. And I'll tell you, one of the major reasons why is because you may not know, but I'm 81 years old. And yes, of course. And what happens is people get a lot of rejections before they get an acceptance. And I didn't know that I had enough time to live through too many rejections. So I decided to go ahead and self-publish. I'm hoping that my next novel, I won't have to have it self-published. I'll be able to garner people who actually want me to publish with them.
Yes. Well, we're claiming that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We are claiming that.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit more about the book. And I want you to tell us enough to whet the appetite, but not so much that people won't get the book.
That's my intent.
Yes. Okay,
to start off with, I started writing this book actually 30 years ago.
What?
Yes, it's a 30-year process. But I told you what the impetus was. The migrant father who had those children, they'd all come together. And the fact that Tyson said that, well, he liked the book whose character was dead. The main character was dead throughout the book. So that's how it started. 30 years ago, I had to take off from school for the 6 weeks. And I'm not going to be dramatic about it, but, that happens. So I had a medical leave for six 6 weeks, and I was off school. Well, by the third week, I was feeling much better with nothing to do. I wasn't teaching, I wasn't working. Of course, I had my family that I was preparing for, but I still had some empty hours. And so I decided I was going to write a book. So I took out a paper and pad, handwritten, and I started writing about a man who was similar to my migrant father. And there was something I wanted as the outcome for this book, and I guess outcome is a good word, but I wanted people to get something from it. I'm going to say right now, being totally honest, I don't know if I hit the mark, but I hope I did.
But what point were you trying? Was there a particular point that you were hoping that you would be able to capture in this book?
Yes, there was, but if I say what it was, everybody will know. If I
Okay.
wait to get comments, I'll know if they know. So
Okay.
I don't
All
really want
right.
to say that right now.
Okay. That's
All
fine. And I
right.
understand. But is there something else you want to say about the book?
Oh, definitely. I could talk
Okay.
about that book forever. But
Okay.
what happened with the book initially was like I said, I started 30 years ago writing it. And then of course I got well and I went back to school, and I went back to school, and I was able to, go back into my real life and so forth. So excuse me. So I was able to go back to school, and in the process of going back to school, I didn't write anymore until I had another break from school. And then when I retired from education, I still worked a bit with the Sisters of Charity Foundation and also
Yeah.
with Coming Together. But I was able to spend time finishing that book, and I really wanted to do it. So I wrote, and finally, I mean, after probably 30 years, I was able to finish it. I had a good friend read it for me, and she read it, and I wanted her to say, "Oh, that was wonderful, Nadine. I couldn't wait. I couldn't put it down." That's not what she said. What
What
she
did she
said
say?
was, she said, I had my main character was forgettable, to put it, you know, in any other way. My main character did not resonate enough with her. And so I thought, that's true. And I knew it. And I knew that was missing from this book, to get people to come into that main character's life. And so I
Mm-hmm.
sit down after hearing that, and I rewrote many of it. And I made it so that I thought you could see her and recognize her and be a part of her. It's just like Kunta Kinte. There isn't a person now who doesn't feel like
Mm-hmm.
they somehow have some part of Kunta Kinte in
Mm-hmm.
them. Yes, so that's what I wanted people to feel about my main character. And so I rewrote. And then, of course, I let other people read, and they gave me suggestions, and I rewrote again. So I kept doing that. And actually, today, looking at the manuscript, I could still rewrite. But there comes a time when you guys say enough is enough.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's what I did. And I submitted the manuscript to be published.
That is beautiful. That is
Mhm.
beautiful. And I am going to get a copy. You said you put that information
I said that it hasn't been determined, but it is available from
Amazon.
Amazon. And I'm
Okay.
hoping that I'm setting up a website for the book now, but I'm hoping people are going to be able to request the book from me so I can do an autograph book and
So
send it
how
to
do they
them.
get in touch with you?
Well,
Put that in the chat.
it's going to be the website, which I was told would be up Monday. So
Okay.
it's
And
yes, and they'll just look up Rolling Stone. It's going to have its own website and its own
okay.
email address and so forth.
So all they need to do is Google Rolling Stone.
Yes,
Okay.
but it's
And
not up yet. We're still a bit ahead, but
okay.
within the month. Mhm.
Okay. Awesome. 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 And also, I want to pull up one of your other books that you've also authored, and that book is Father's Child. Tell us about that book.
Well, that book is about the life of Frederica Stewart, and I
Okay.
say that she was very generous and allowing me to be a co-author. Or yeah, that's what she did. Because I told her, I said I would, write. I would improve the writing for you. Um, and you could say written by me with Nadine McIlwain if you wanted to, but I told her that wasn't necessary because the way this got started, Frederica, like you, is a former student of mine. She had an extremely interesting life. I mean, she's still alive. She lives in California, but her life was extremely interesting, and a lot of people in the city of Canton knew about it. Her life wasn't that pleasant, but certainly it was interesting. So she saw me and she said, Mrs. McIlwain, I've written a book about myself. I said, oh, that's wonderful. Let me see it. So she showed it to me, and I was disappointed in the writing because I thought it's such a wonderful story. It could be written better. So I volunteered to kind of do that for her. I said, I will write, because I wasn't doing anything at the time. And I said, I will rewrite it for you or write it for you. So she and I spent time together over the course of several months rewriting her book. And so finally it was finished, and she had her own publisher. Her publisher was a good friend of hers who owned a company. And this company made products that they had to submit manuals on how to operate the product. And so they printed their own manual. Because they could print manuals, they could print the book. So they printed the book. And her publisher paid me for that. And I was really pleased that I got paid for doing that, and my name on the cover of that book.
That's awesome. And if I'm not mistaken, this has been turned into a play, hasn't it?
No, she started with the play and then wrote the book. The play I thought was excellent. She did all of that,
Oh, okay.
So I just kind of helped.
Okay. Yeah. I remember Frederica. We were friends, as a matter of fact.
I thought she was probably there the same time you were.
Yes.
Vera Timken.
Yes, we were friends. So in terms of what's next for Nadine, what's next for you?
Well, believe it or not, I'm going to have some faith in God that I'll still be around for a while. So I've gotten a title for my second book, which is semi-autobiographical, but not completely. And that title is Caregiver. In my lifetime, I have been caregiver to 4 people who were important to me. Yes. And so I thought, I was telling that story to some of my friends in Florida, and they said, you should write a book about that. And I thought it's an excellent idea. Yes. So when while I'm trying to market Rolling Stone and do things like that, excuse me, I will be working on Caregiver as my next book.
Oh, that's awesome. And, caregiving, because I had to do that for 3 of my family members as well. And a book about that, I think, would really inspire, encourage, uplift, because caring for others, especially when, they're sick, both my sisters, all 3 of them had cancer. And so having to care for them was that's going to be a great book. That's going to be, I already know.
I will say this, Vera. I like to take the road not traveled.
Yes.
So you will not see caregiver as a person who was pleased to be doing what they were doing. Right. Rather, the truth being that sometimes it was okay and sometimes it wasn't.
You're right.
Sometimes that person did the right things and sometimes that person did the wrong thing.
And
so it's going to be
taking
probably a different step. And I don't know if it's going to be encouraging the caregivers, but it will be truthful.
Okay. Well, I can understand and I can relate. I really can. I remember there were times I remember calling my brother and saying, I can't do this. I can't do this, yeah. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to go to a commercial right quick, and then we will be right back.
Mama Knows creates high quality products that are available to be used on multiple textures of hair. Her goal is to bridge the gap to stop people from having to use multiple products because of families with multiple hair types. Her products are currently being used on men, women, children of all ethnicities. Mama Knows products are available at www.mamaknowsproducts.com. That's www.mamaknowsproducts.com. You can also find her on Instagram at Mama Knows Products, because Mama knows what you need.
Let me tell you about these. Okay, these are products for your hair that smell great. They are wonderful moisturizers, shampoos, conditioners, elixirs, and all kinds of products to have healthy hair. And they are for all ethnicities, and they're for children, women, men. So you want to check out Mama Knows products. Why? Because Mama knows what you need. So check her out. Mama Knows products. Okay. All right. Now back to you. Tell me, how did you feel? And this is not about the book. But when you were approached about the Board of Education's administrative buildings being in your honor, how did that make you feel?
Vera, still brings tears to my eyes. I was serving on the Board of Education at the time the board made that choice. And they did not tell me they were going to do this. So I'm conducting the meeting for the Board of Education. I said, okay, members, if there's nothing else then. And Richard Milligan raised his hand. He says, I got one more item for the board. And I said, okay, let's hear it. And he said that the board had come up with a resolution to rename the Kansas City Schools Administration Building after me. And I lost it. I mean, I literally lost it. The tears flew. I had to take my glasses off. I mean, I was so outdone, I couldn't conduct the rest of the meeting. The vice chair at that time was Lisa Singletary, and I had to ask her to do that for me.
Wow. And, just hearing that story, I feel that emotion. And it's got tears in my eyes. Oh, my God.
Yes, it was, I had no idea, no expectation even. I mean, first of all, when I got on the board, we kind of built all new schools, or almost all, and we had named the schools differently. Matter of fact, as a member of the board, I was the first one to name to change the name of a school. Lathrop School was changed to the Pearlie Watkins Compton. Now it's Learning Center, and I was so proud of Pearlie. I think right after Esther Archer, Pearlie rates up there with me.
Yes.
So I wanted her to be acknowledged. And everything in the school district had been named, but it was who it was named after. Lathrop School was in the heart of the Black community, and it was named after a man who was a state legislator when he was, in his prime. And he was called the father of education. But as the father of education, he proposed and supported a bill that was for white kids to have education. He did not support Black children being educated. And yet we had a school in the heart of the Black community being named after him.
Wow. So, and you know what? Because we're still experiencing this crap. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Anyway, but I think it's, that's one step that enlightened people and continues to enlighten, So I think our latest name change was for Stephanie Patrick's elementary school. And so, and it was deserving, more than deserving, he named after her. It was named after Ira Allen. And at one point I did look him up, and I wasn't that impressed with his background when it came to, where the school was placed and who the school was serving. I am impressed with the fact that Stephanie was a student there. She was a teacher there, and
And a
later she became,
principal.
yes, a principal. So rightfully so, that was named after her.
Absolutely. Well deserved. And
Yes.
just like Brooklyn says,
Mhm.
yours was beyond deserved honor. Yes.
Well, I appreciate my
Absolutely.
grandbaby, but
But
she's
it's
going to
the
say that. Bless
truth.
her heart.
I mean, I've
Mhm.
always admired you, and I appreciate what you said about me when you did the introduction. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Morning.
And okay, so I can understand. I can just imagine, having that kind of honor and just being overwhelmed with emotion.
Mhm.
I can just imagine.
That describes it perfectly. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why, because it wasn't a school. It wasn't one building. I mean, one school, I'll say, one school building. It was the school district.
Yes.
And they made that choice. And I'll tell you also, there, I suspect that someday in the future, some year in the future, somebody might make a motion to rename the Nadine McIlwain Administrative Center to something else. And I will accept that after I'm dead.
Right. We don't want to claim that.
I'm not claiming that. No, not at all. But I would understand. And, I expect that it may happen.
No.
But right now is a time of celebration for me and my family because we are very proud. And, the SMHA.
Right. I was just getting ready to say.
Okay, well, you go right ahead and you start.
And the SMHA, Stark Metropolitan Housing Authority, is named after her first husband.
Yes, it is. The Albert H. McIlwain.
Yes.
And when the kids were smaller, kids being Brooklyn and Presley, when they were smaller, I used to make them go to those buildings every time they came to town because, they weren't always here. And so I know they're probably tired of that tour of Canton, but I am very proud of it. Yes. And when they have children, their children are going to see those buildings.
Yes, yes. I mean, that is such an honor. Your husband, he was an icon in this community, and he did so much as it relates to metropolitan housing and trying to make it equitable for all people. He was both of you just together, you were powerhouses. You were what's called the super couple. What do they call them?
Power couples.
The power couple. Yeah, that's what you were. The power couples in this community. Yes, you were.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but you know what my son says? What? He said this at the dedication of the building for me. He said, now, and it just touches me, and I won't forget this, what he said. He said, now the entire city knows what my sister Janine and I've known all our lives. We had the two best parents in Canton, Ohio. Yes. Now, of course, everybody says that, but it just touched me that he would say that.
But there's proof. There's evidence and proof. He didn't just say it. You got evidence and proof of that.
I see you learned something from my history class, which is you don't accept it because it's said. You need to have some evidence and some proof.
Absolutely. Yes. And especially now. Yes. Don't take what you hear and read as gospel.
I will second that 100%. Exactly. You got to do your own. You really got to do research into religious statements that people make, into economic statements. I think there are probably people in this country who don't accept the fact that Black people had an integral part, a major part of building this country. They don't accept that. But sometimes it's not their fault because they haven't been taught.
Right. And that's why education is so important. Absolutely. That's why our history is so important. Almost every single invention was invented by Black people out of necessity.
Well, I think that might be a stretch, but certainly a lot. Maybe not every single, but
I didn't say everything.
Okay.
Much. A preponderance of inventions were invented by
Mhm.
African Americans. Would you not agree?
Well, I don't know about a preponderance, like I said.
Okay,
We're
we'll
talking
have to
about
get right.
facts,
Facts and
facts and
evidence.
yes.
Yes.
So if somebody presented me with two columns, and one column said inventions by African Americans, the other column said inventions by non-African Americans, I would look at the two columns, see what the inventions are, add them up, and see who invented the most. That's what I would do. I
Okay,
wouldn't make
I might do something like that so that I can come with facts and
right,
evidence.
right, right. Yes. You know, there was something else I wanted to say. We were talking about the breakfast and books.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Antioch Baptist Church. I went there all the time. I went every day I could go for good reasons because I enjoyed it. But number two, it was close to the skating rink. And if my grandparents were going to Bible study, they would let me go skating. So, but my grandmother died. And she was, you know, the most important person in my life for a long time. When she died, she was teaching Sunday school at Antioch Baptist Church. So, in her honor, I wanted to continue her class. You know, I was a teacher too, and I wanted to continue her class. So I told the pastor that I would, you know, do it. So I got there to the class, my first class, and believe it or not, I had never noticed this before. They handed me the Sunday school books, and every picture in the Sunday school books were of whites. Jesus was white. All the kids that went to school, the kids that came to him, suffered little kids, everybody was white. And I told the deacon, I said, I can't teach from this book to these kids. I said, it's not teaching them a truth. It's teaching them a false conception. So I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't do it. And they didn't get new books because of me, but I wouldn't do it. So I say that to say, I am hoping and praying that breakfast and books are emphasizing or at least becoming a part of, you know, the African American experience.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Then trust me, with me being a part of it,
It's that way.
absolutely.
Hmm.
We have a tutoring program at the Urban League for
Yes.
elementary school kids.
Hmm.
And I mean, I even purchased
Hmm.
an African American book
Hmm.
that included a doll and a puzzle.
Hmm.
And so, oh yeah, and in fact, the last Saturday that we were there, I was looking through the books to identify
Oh,
and to
good.
see. So yeah, we need, and there are a lot of
Hmm.
Black children books out there
Yes.
that will elevate and uplift and empower our children. There are a lot of them.
Yes. I don't mean to be exclusive, though. I think the problem that sometimes was had in schools was that it was exclusive. All you learned was white history or Western civilization, nothing about Eastern civilization or Africa. So I think it should be inclusive.
I
I don't think
agree.
our kids should just learn about African
I
American history. I
agree.
think they should learn it all as
As a
much as
matter
they
of
can.
fact, yes, I believe every child needs to learn about every race. You
Right, right.
know, and that way it will help to minimize this hatred and this visceral
Hmm.
that we're feeling and experiencing here, because the reason that we're experiencing all this crap is because of lack of knowledge, ignorance
Hmm.
about other people.
I agree. Hmm.
All right, I'm going to
Great.
shut up. We've only got 2 minutes. I'm
Uh,
going to give you the floor for
mhm.
you to finalize and wrap us up. And after she's done, I want to say have a great weekend, everybody. And I'm going to close this out. And before you leave, I just want to have a couple words with you. But I'm going to give you the floor now.
Thank you so
Oh,
much, Vera. I really appreciate being on here. I hope that I've been able to help you in your enlightening quest to help people know more about themselves and to be secure in themselves. I mean, it's like this. I consider myself an author now, but that's because I've authored several books. And I will say this, the reason I went to Belize and to Detroit and to the local ones too, I joined the Writers Guild here in Canton at the time. But the reason I did that is because I do believe we educate ourselves and then we act. We don't want to act without being educated because, like they say, it can make a fool out of you. So you want to be sure
yes.
what you're saying, what you're doing, and be prepared for it. So, like I read about Terry McMillan. She sold books out of the trunk of her car, went to every black bookstore. she could find, ask them to put her book up. And today she resonates in the millions of dollars as an author. And when she gets a new book out, a lot of people are there to grab it and read it. So, like you, follow your dream, because I know when we put your mom in that book, I said, Vera's doing the exact same thing at this point. So follow what your dream is, work hard, study hard, and do it. And make it not so much always about you, but to make it also about what you're contributing and the people you're affecting.
Amen. 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 I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. And we're going to do that show with your both your grandkids, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do that. It's going to happen.
That would be great, I think.
It would. Oh, I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do it. So with that, I'm going to pull you down and I'm going to say, my audience, thank you so much. And we will see you next week. Have a great weekend.
The Vera Time.